Everybody, welcome back to today's video. Um, Hope that everybody's doing well. Before we get into the video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never have to miss a new video. This channel is for you if you enjoy non-biased, straightforward election content. Thank you. Let's get right back to it. So, you may have noticed that there has been a pretty big primary in Texas. Lately. It's definitely kind of interesting to see exactly what happened. But it was definitely quite the primaries. Pretty hard fought, pretty bitter. And there's still a runoff to be had for some of these races. But in this video, as of the recording on Thursday. The primary was on Tuesday. So this is basically a recap of what happened. The big primary was for the United States Senate race. Then you had some U.S. House primaries that we'll get into. But basically what happened was you had the Republican primary. You had Republican incumbent John Cornyn, Attorney General Ken Paxton, and Congressman Wesley Hunt. The two of them are trying to take out John Cornyn in the primary. However, Texas's rule is that if nobody gets above 50% of the vote, then there has to be a runoff where the top two versus each other. So obviously Hunt didn't make it. So Cornyn and Paxton will probably advance to a very, very competitive primary. You saw Cornyn did much better than expected. A lot of people had Paxton. He was going to beat Cornyn pretty well. But Cornyn was able to win. A lot of these high-populated areas, like Harris County, were pretty close. Others, not as much. But for the Republicans, you could definitely tell there were some interesting things happening. However, the Democrats were even more enthused. You can definitely tell they're aiming to flip Texas blue. Now, will it happen? Probably not. I think it's too red of a state to happen as of now. But honestly, it could get pretty competitive if the stars align. You did see more participation. You had more Democrat votes than Republican votes, but that probably doesn't matter a ton. But you saw James Talarico go against Jasmine Crockett. Crockett's the more firebrand Democrat. Talarico's the more establishment Democrat. It's hard to say what's going to happen, but I think Talarico's definitely a stronger candidate than Crockett was. If Crockett was the candidate, it probably would have been likely a safe Republican victory. Now that Talarico wins, depending on who the Republicans nominate, this race could definitely get closer. Nonetheless, definitely won by decent-ish amount, 52 to 46. So about eight points. It wasn't bad. You did see one county went for the different person, but yeah, pretty good. The problem for Crockett, why she wasn't able to win the primaries, was because yes, she did do better in areas with a higher black population, but she didn't get the numbers that she needed. And she did well in the cities areas, but Talarico did better in like more heavily Latino areas, like southern Texas, and did better in like the San Antonio area, the Austin. He won, so he was able to, and he did well in much of western and central Texas. That's how he was able to win the primary for the Democrats. That's basically what happened. Definitely follow the channel because we'll be covering the Republican runoff in Texas. Another interesting Republican primary was the 23rd Congressional District. Tony Gonzalez is fighting yet again a second time against challenger for Brandon Herrera in the Republican primary. Gonzalez has been in the news. He's had some scandals come out lately, so he probably has a good chance of losing to Herrera. It's hard to say who's going to win this primary. If I had to pick, I would probably say Herrera will win, but Tony Gonzalez could end up winning. Gonzalez was ahead for most of the night until Herrera overtook the lead. But just like the other one, this will go to a runoff. Keep in mind, a good portion of the district's population lives in Bexar County, which is around San Antonio. This was a very, very close. It narrowly went to Gonzalez. So this goes to show how competitive it's going to be. But that's basically it with the 23rd district. I think Herrera is the more, probably more like firebrand Republican. Gonzalez is more establishment. He was endorsed by Donald Trump, but I'm not sure if that's going to get him the win in the primary. But you want to talk about an interesting primary was in the 2nd district in Texas. You had um, Steve Toth beat out Dan Crenshaw. He's more conservative. Crenshaw's more establishment. It is interesting though that he lost. I didn't think this would happen, but he was able to get the job done for his part of his side of the Republican Party. Wasn't even particularly close, like 15 points. So he was able to pull that off. That was a primary defeat for Crenshaw. He could always come back a few years later and run again. A lot of people do that when they leave Congress, or he'll just end up retiring and moving on. We'll see. Have to see how that goes. But going back to so those are basically the primaries that happened. But with the upcoming United States Senate election, this is the last one. Cornyn was able to pull it off for the Republicans. Won by around 10 points. Basically, this is a typical Republican win in Texas looks like. He did overperform Trump by 4. So if Cornyn ends up winning the Republican primary, you'll probably see a race similar to this. It would probably be about a 10-point win for Cornyn. It wouldn't really be contested. Now, if Paxton wins the primary, then this race could get more competitive. But this is probably what you're going to see. Again, it's a coin flip who wins the Republican primary there. But you could see basically how Texas looks. A lot of South Texas has gotten a little bit redder. You saw Trump win this part of Texas do pretty well in the Rio Grande Valley. It's hard to say whoever the Republican nominee is will do well in this area. We'll have to see how that ends up going, if that area trends back to the Democrats or it stays Republican or maybe a mix of both. We'll have to see. But that's basically the situation with Texas. That's basically what's happening with the primaries. So appreciate you watching this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.